Your Mercury sign is the voice inside your head. And when that voice gets loud, your nervous system feels it first. Anxiety, overthinking, analysis paralysis, mental spirals, decision fatigue. They're not character flaws, they're Mercury patterns. Mercury is a planet that affects us directly and very viscerally. It's one of the planets that's closest to the Earth, so its energy is very personal to us. And in society right now, I feel like so many of us are feeling our Mercury because anxiety and overthinking abound with everything that's going on. Now, just like everything else, there's no one size fits all to thinking, to communicating, or even with dealing with anxiety. And so, in this video, I will be detailing Mercury in your natal chart and what it means for your peace of mind. So, if you want to know more, stick around. You definitely don't want to miss this. Hello, my loves. As always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. So, welcome to day 11 of my wellness and astrology series. And today we're talking all about Mercury, which is the planet of thoughts, communication, processing, internal dialogue, attention, and nervous system wiring, among other things. Your Mercury sign explains why you think the way you do, how your mind reacts under pressure, your unique anxiety triggers, and this is important, especially in the realm of wellness, your default mental coping style, also equally as important, how your body responds to stress, and what slows your mind down again. Your nervous system and Mercury sign are inseparable. And I think that most people know this generally speaking, especially if you are not new to astrology. However, how to deal with anxiety is detailed by your Mercury sign. And it can be kind of challenging to remember that when you're in the midst of a panic attack or when you're feeling the weight of life and you're anxious or fearful all the time. But Mercury tells you what you need to calm down, what you need to power down, how to quiet the mind, and trust and believe it's not always meditation. Now, don't get me wrong, meditation is great. However, meditation is not for everyone. And the generalized notion of meditation is not the only form of meditation. And that's definitely evident by your particular Mercury sign. And I love that for us because, again, astrology demonstrates that there is no one size fits all. And what one person may perceive as calming, someone else can perceive as nerve-wracking. But of course, your Mercury sign will detail exactly what you need to have peace of mind. So let's briefly get into why this even matters and the real issue. So people assume anxiety means that you're weak, you can't focus, you're doing something wrong, you lack discipline, you can't quote unquote shut your mind off. But your Mercury sign has a baseline tempo. Some minds run hot, some run cool, some run deep, some run fast. And when your environment doesn't match your Mercury, the nervous system goes into overdrive, right? If you're someone who needs calm, if you need slow movement, being in a high stress, fast environment is obviously going to agitate you. But without knowing your Mercury sign, you may figure or you may think that you can't keep up, there is something wrong with you, you're slow. It has nothing to do with that, at least not entirely. And it has everything to do with your Mercury sign. So understanding your Mercury means understanding your mental pace, your communication needs, how to prevent burnout, how your mind processes emotion, and how to regulate your thoughts, not fight them. And that bears mentioning, or I should say it bears mentioning that oftentimes, especially in the spiritual space, negative thoughts come up and you're told to just sort of bypass them, right? Love and light, think positively. Now, it's not to say that, you shouldn't be optimistic, but obviously toxic positivity is a thing. But Mercury, and specifically your Mercury sign, can help you understand how to process negative thoughts. Again, it's like when there is this singular narrative, or when society is telling you to do one thing, for some people, it may feel like trying to place a square peg into a round hole. But again, knowing your particular Mercury sign makes all the difference. And it's important to remember that this is not about fixing your mind. This is about learning your mind, learning how you work, how you function, how you process stress, how you deal with anxiety, how you deal with negative thoughts. All of that falls within the realm of Mercury. So now let's get into the Mercury signs and mental health patterns. So we begin, of course, with fire Mercury. So that means you have Mercury in either Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius. Your mind pace is fast, impulsive, and intuitive. Your anxiety triggers feeling trapped, bored, or restricted. Your overthinking style. You tend to jump to conclusions and you catastrophize quickly. And for you, regulation means movement, action, expression, or change of scenery. So if there were a definition of jumping to conclusions, it would be a fire Mercury. You sort of bypass the logic and infuse passion into whatever you are thinking. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because fire Mercuries are great at new ideas, taking bold moves, moving in new directions. That dynamic kind of energy is great for change, and it's great for igniting or reigniting things. And it's important to understand that when it comes to anxiety, you often get triggered when you feel limited, when you feel restricted, right? When you can't move, when you are bound even to a particular situation, sometimes a particular person, a particular ideology. And for that, movement, expression, and change of scenery is definitely going to be your best friend there. So next, we move on to Earth Mercury. So this means that you have Mercury in either Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. Your mind pace is steady, structured, and practical. Your anxiety triggers are disorder, uncertainty, and or lack of control. For you, your overthinking style is rumination, perfectionism, and looping details. And for you, regulation looks like grounding, routine, sensory calm, and clear steps. So your pace is much slower when it comes to Mercury. You're not necessarily jumping to conclusions. You're likely gathering all of the facts and observing before making a decision, let's say, right? But anxiety for you is like chaos when there is instability, unpredictability, lack of control. That's when you tend to veer off into anxiety land. All right. But for you, much like everything else, to get back to a place of homeostasis, to get back to a place of peace of mind, you need grounding, routine, engaging your five senses in order to get back into your body and be present. And clear, definable steps are definitely your best friends. Next, we have air Mercury. So this means you have your Mercury sign in either Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. So for you, your mind pace is quick, scattered, and curious. Your anxiety triggers are overstimulation, social tension, and too many inputs. For you, overthinking looks like spiraling, overanalyzing, and replaying conversations. And when it comes to regulation, what's best for you is talking it out, writing it out, mental clarity, and fresh air. So now we pick up the pace with the air Mercury signs. You are very fast, you're curious, you're inquisitive, but you can kind of be scattered in how you think and how you communicate. Anxiety for you just looks like too much. Now, as much as y'all love to talk, to think, and to be very curious, if there's too much of that, that can make you anxious. Or if there's too many people just putting in their 2 cents and giving you their opinion, like that can also lead to anxiety, right? And of course, of all the signs when it comes to overthinking, y'all are the kings and queens of that. It's like the argument will be over, and for days you'll be thinking about what you could have said, what you didn't say, all of those things, right? But the best way to combat all of that, talk it out, write it out, journal, have a great conversation with someone that you trust, mental clarity, or just breath work, going into nature, getting some fresh air, and recalibrating. And then last but certainly not least, we have the water Mercury signs. So this means that your Mercury is either in Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. So your mind pace is emotional, intuitive, and cyclical. Your anxiety triggers include emotional overwhelm, lack of boundaries, your overthinking style, fear-based spirals, emotional stories, and assumptions. And for you, regulation looks like solitude, soothing environments, and emotional release. So the pace slows down slightly with the water Mercury signs. For you, your mental and your emotional bodies are inextricably linked. Okay, so when it comes to how you think, how you communicate, even how you deal with stress and anxiety, it's very much tied to your emotions. And speaking of anxiety, when there are too many emotions, emotional overwhelm, heavy, intense emotional situations and environments, as well as a lack of boundaries, just emotions overflowing all over the place. Like think of a situation where there is some sort of trauma or tragedy. That kind of emotionally charged situation can definitely send you over the edge in terms of anxiety. And then when it comes to your triggers and your overthinking style, one little fear can get you to spiral into a dark place or a black hole. You start telling emotional stories. You start making assumptions based on how you feel rather than what's actually happening, right? But remember, when it comes to anything, the best way for you to get back on track and to achieve peace of mind, solitude, soothing environments, and emotional release. All right. And so as you can see, especially if this is not your first video of this series that you're watching, all of the elements deal with everything in the same way. So you'll find that a lot of what I'm saying is repeated across videos because all of the elements deal with everything in the same way. But either way, especially in this emotionally charged, anxiety-filled situation that we're finding ourselves in now, where many people are scared, fearful of the unknown, look to your Mercury sign in order to understand not only how these external circumstances are affecting you, how you're predisposed to dealing with them, but also tuning into this video to help you understand what you need in order to combat the anxiety and combat the overthinking. So if you made it this far in the video, let me know what your Mercury sign is and how you deal with anxiety. So now I want to take a brief moment to discuss why overthinking takes over in the first place. So overthinking happens when your Mercury is dysregulated. And when Mercury is dysregulated, your sleep suffers, your appetite changes, digestion tightens. There is definitely a link between your gut and your brain, and Mercury definitely speaks to that. Breath becomes shallow, focus disappears, emotional spirals intensify. These things are evident of your nervous system saying, I'm overloaded, slow down, change the input, right? So overthinking is your nervous system saying, listen, something's amiss here, something's not right, especially if that overthinking has led to things like changes in your sleep, changes in your appetite, etc., right? And it's important to understand that overthinking is not failure. There's nothing wrong with overthinking. We all do it to a certain extent, right? You have to look at it as feedback. Just like when you have a physical ailment, right? It's not even so much that you shouldn't focus on the symptoms, because obviously you should. But you have to look beyond the symptoms to say, okay, what's really going on here? What is this a symptom of? What is this trying to show me? And so when you start overthinking, it's your system's way of saying, hey, something needs my attention. What needs my attention should be the logical follow-up question. Maybe there's too much going on in your environment. Maybe you're in a job that's way too stressful for your peace of mind. Maybe you're in a relationship that is just too emotionally intense. Your Mercury can tell you that. Now, one thing to understand is that nothing operates within a vacuum. So this overthinking could be a dysregulated Mercury. It could be a whole bunch of other things as well. But the only way that you're going to know that is if you take the time to examine it, look beyond the symptoms and figure out what's really the issue, right? Self-reflection is one of the best, if not the best way to use astrological information. Yes, it's great for compatibility. Yes, it can be great to predict things. But I think the best use of it is self-reflection. And so if you find yourself overthinking, first step is to look at your Mercury, look at what's going on in your environment, and figure out what you need in order to get back to a place of a peaceful mind. So now let's get into some wellness tips to help you reset your Mercury and reset your nervous system. So these are just simple Mercury-aligned rituals, sort of separated by element. All right, so first, for fire Mercuries, move your body, shake off the energy, speak out loud. Sometimes if you need to scream into the void, scream into the void. I have a colleague who, she's a high priestess, and she says at least once a month she goes out into the forest and she just screams. Like literally, not even figuratively, she does that on a regular basis. And depending on what's going on with you, that might be something that you need to engage with every so often. All right. But either way, express it, move it, shake it off. For Earth Mercuries, simplify your environment. Whenever there's stress, whenever there's an issue with Earth sign energy, delegation is your best friend. Divest yourself of what doesn't need your attention or what you don't need to be responsible for at the moment. So simplify your environment. One task, one list, one grounding ritual. Stop trying to multitask or do the most. Focus on the one thing, get present within your body, and hopefully that should reset your nervous system. For air Mercuries, do a brain dump. Deep breaths, breath work. Open a window, get some fresh air going, change your mental landscape. Typically for you, if it's either overstimulation or boredom, you need to change your mental landscape. So do something that makes you think differently. Do something that piques your curiosity. That can definitely help restructure and reset. I should say reset, not restructure. Reset your nervous system. And finally, for water Mercuries, go inward, dim the lights, put on music. Let yourself feel instead of think. Remember what I said for water Mercuries. Mercury and your emotions are inextricably linked. So when it comes to resetting your nervous system, stop thinking. Y'all are the kings and queens of the emotional bodies. Y'all are masters, or you definitely can be masters of your emotional body. And so when you get overstimulated, when it's too emotionally intense, when you start spiraling out of control, when you start having fear-based thoughts, stop thinking. Move into your emotional body where you naturally feel at home and at peace. That can help reset your nervous system. All right. Now remember, for all Mercury signs, your Mercury doesn't need to be silenced. And this goes for any planet and any planetary energy. You don't have to just shut it off completely or ignore it. It needs to be supported in the way that you are designed, right? Like I just said, if you're a water Mercury, stop thinking and start feeling. If you're an air Mercury, get some sort of new mental landscape, get some fresh air, right? It's not about saying, forget about it and ignoring that planetary energy. Think about and figure out how it needs to be supported and then do that. It can literally be as simple as that. When examining Mercury, it always reminds me that there can be one situation Yet you have 10 different people who see it in 10 different ways. Mercury definitely governs your perspective. As a matter of fact, in traditional astrology, Hellenistic astrology, Mercury is associated with the first house. And the first house is your rising sign, it is your outlook on life. And although there is a certain set of circumstances that are happening to everyone sees it differently. Some people are very fearful and nervous right now. Other people are thriving. And it can really be evidenced by your Mercury sign because it definitely evidences how you think and how you perceive. And so this is something that I find very interesting because you could see this play out in real time on social media. How someone will write a post and they'll either get people who like support them all the way or vehemently oppose them, right? We all have these different viewpoints, and it feels like these viewpoints are being triggered right now based on what's going on in the world, what we're experiencing. And so I say that to say that whether you are experiencing hardship right now or whether you are feeling good and moving on into a new chapter, pay attention to your own design. And the phrase that's coming to mind is keep your eyes on your own paper. Okay. I say this because there's so much information. There's an information overload that's definitely contributing to a lot of overthinking, a lot of second guessing, and a lot of anxiety. When you understand how you see the world, how you perceive the world, how you think, your perspective is the most important thing that matters to you. It's not to say that you have to completely dismiss what anyone else has to say or think, but when you're talking about your life, when you're talking about what you need, when you're talking about how to regulate your nervous system, keep your eyes on your own paper. And that paper is your natal chart. And your Mercury sign and what it means for your peace of mind definitely plays a major part in that. All right, my loves. So that's pretty much all I've got for you for this video on Mercury and your mental health. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you can use going forward so that you can enjoy peace of mind in these times that we're living in. All right. If you haven't yet taken the self-care signature quiz, the link to that is in the description box below. If you're ready for the complete natal chart experience, sign up for the blueprint, which is my signature natal chart experience. It starts with a free clarity call so we can decide if the service is even right for you. And the link for that is in the description box below as well. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in my next video. Take care.